Hey folks, welcome back to Skyward Sword. We are here on the Sandship. This is in fact the 5th dungeon. I know that this can take a lot of people by surprise. Most people are expecting a dungeon for the 5th dungeon, but in fact it is a ship. And I know it's actually a lot of people's favorite, just because of the aesthetic and the idea that, holy shit, we're on a boat, and we're not really moving, but it's really cool anyway. And I know I like it. It is, again, rather brown. It is a constant problem with desert and desert-related things. By the way, that's an A symbol right there. But overall, I do really like it. It uses the time manipulation mechanic, which is a really rad mechanic, and it is more than most other dungeon. It really does feel like a cohesive dungeon, where everything is really linked together. Like you actually do a lot of back and forthing, plenty of that sort of thing. It really feels like one unit, one big puzzle to be solved. And in my original video review of this game, I complained that a lot of the dungeons really didn't have that feel. It just felt like a series of linear corridors. Whereas this, despite being mostly a series of linear corridors, feels a lot more cohesive. Anyway, let's get rid of this guy. I guess this ship got sandlogged or something. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. But anyway, somewhere on this ship is Nehru's flame. And if you have any sort of pattern recognition, you can probably guess that it is behind a boss door, because that's where it always is. And essentially most of this dungeon is spent going like along these hallways, admittedly very linear hallways, performing a variety of tasks that will eventually allow you to get that flame. And that didn't really go as planned. Yeah, Hella Scorpions, not really feeling it. I wish there was a really cool and badass way to just destroy all of them at once, like lay a power bomb or something, but unfortunately, not really. Basically just have to either wait for them to all fall down, or knock them down, or something along those lines. And really, I would much prefer like 1 or 2 actually difficult enemies, rather than these guys who haven't, I don't think, ever done any damage to me, and probably never will. Okay, I'll look. Yep, there is in fact the boss door, but as you can see, it has that grill over it, which means that we can only access it via the past. So we'll have to do some time manipulation. Ah, poor Scorpion. Oh no, we're just playing Scorpion games. I don't know what you're talking about. That's what all the hip kids are doing. Anyway, in here, as you can see, we have another one of the hit the lock in a specific order combination kind of puzzles that we had in the 4th dungeon. But I think this one's done a lot better. First off, it's like, it doesn't purport to be the secret, like, sequence of the dungeon or whatever. It's just a little one-room puzzle that actually requires a good amount of observation and figuring out what exactly is up and down and all around. Basically, the combination is on these little wheels and the spokes on the ground here. And the order is determined by the number of red spokes on the wheels. So rather than having to swim all the way around a statue and keep in mind the order that a sign told you to keep in mind the order of, you can figure out the order just by looking at it, and overall is a lot less time wasting. Also, I totally screwed up. This is one of those instances where the Wii Motion Plus just kind of screws up sometimes. And by Wii Motion Plus, I mean me. So eventually, yeah, just hit it around until it goes back to neutral and then try again, or maybe reload the room or something along those lines. And having reached the innermost section of the dungeon, we get a wonderful prize. What do we get? A key! And this wonderful prize will allow us to open a locked door way up on the deck at the very top. That could be lobbied as a legitimate complaint against this dungeon. All the backing and forthing, it doesn't necessarily feel organic. Sometimes it feels very forced. It's like, yep, gotta run across the entire dungeon. And there aren't really any shortcuts. Too bad. But of course, for the full authentic experience, you'll be watching the entire trek. I would not have it any other way. Anyway, you can see some of those doors there all have some sort of barrier on them. Some are time-based, some are switch-based. You can clearly see that there will be time manipulation mechanics and plenty of puzzles in figuring out how exactly to get into those rooms. Alrighty, we're almost back up to the deck. Really doesn't take that long to get back up, but it is a fair amount of downtime. And here we go, mini-boss. This is the captain of the ship. You may recall that Skipper told us, hey, the captain is a robot. Yeah, he's a robot pirate, and that is basically the most awesome thing that could ever possibly happen. He has an electrified drill for a sword and a giant hook hand, and is just so goddamn cool. Anyway, the idea is to make him walk the plank. Although the plank usually isn't the front of the ship. I think that's the bow, I'm not a shipologist. But basically jump slash him a bunch, generally do the job. Parry him sometimes will be useful. Pretty much all the time, really. He's actually doing a fair number to me. Yeah, slam him, try to knock him off, and eventually he will retaliate, and each time you get close, the plank will get shorter, so you got less leeway. But if you're doing things right, you should never be on the defensive here. Like, you might have to parry once in a while, like I do here, but basically stay on the offensive, you'll do pretty well. I'm willing to back up that claim fee, actually, believe it or not, considering he was dressed up as a pirate. Anyway, our wonderful prize for engaging in that battle of wits and brawn is in fact the bow. Now, it blows my mind that the bow is actually the last item you get. As you can see, it fills the final slot. Because the bow is such a quintessential Zelda item. It's been around since the original. And yet, here we go, it's the last item you obtain. Anyway, the bow is basically better than the slingshot in most ways for any sort of actual combat purpose. Actually does damage, for one thing. Doesn't stun things, it actually does damage. And you can hit much further things, as well as switches and other various cool things. Basically everything you've come to love about the bow is here and more. As I will demonstrate in this upcoming section entitled, Showing Off Why the Bow is Incredibly Awesome. Anywho, now that we have the bow, we can head out to the deck after we heal a bit. It is very convenient to have this seat right outside the mini-boss. The way the dungeon is laid out, it's nice to have this seat right in the middle, rather than like scattered around at certain intervals. You can just always come back to this guy. Alright, so yes, head out to the dock and make use of the bow. Now, first and foremost, we can use the bow to hit these switches, and that will activate various things on the ship, as well as other locations in the world, as we will find out. And I really don't... I know, Fee. I've seen these so many... I know how to activate... Oh, God. Come on. Come on. Really, Fee? Really? Anyway, yeah, you can either shoot it with an arrow or send Mr. Bug if you so desire, and that will activate a time shift across the entire ship. So essentially, you've got past ship and present ship, and they are two very different ships. And until we take care of these bokoblins and open back up that cage, we're stuck in the past. So, get ready for the storm on the SS Bokoblin. And of course, because they're Bokoblins and I suck at fighting Bokoblins, they're gonna have some trouble. Generally, the best way to take care of Bokoblins at this point is actually to shoot them with a bow, as I found. Maybe not so much the ones on the ground, but any that are perched at high locations, at high elevations. The bow is a great way to take care of them. Watch this. Yeah, he dies, or if he doesn't die, he falls to his death, so overall, a great way of taking care of him. And there's no shortage of arrows here. They encourage you to use lots and lots of them, so feel free to use a lot of them and restock with things like barrels. So many arrows. There are only, I can only think of one situation where I've run out of arrows, and I tend to run out of it, like, all the time, every time I do it, but it's not in this dungeon, so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Anywho, in order to open that cage back up, we have to scale the entire mast here. Oh, I missed a guy. Bye. Look at all these guys who will die momentarily. I love sections like this. There's a similar section kind of in Twilight Princess where you're in like an old west town, and it's essentially a shootout. You pull out your bow and shoot a bunch of bokoblins that are invading the town. A very similar concept here. Anyway, why don't we grab that zip line like that. By the way, the bow, if you couldn't guess, is controlled via the motion control. There is no Z targeting for the bow this time around. You will have to go into first person and manually aim, which some people find utterly detestable, but I find it very fun. So, screw all y'all. No, it's not too hard to aim, generally. You get in the general area, steady your hand, let go. Now I should note that while I'm up here, I do neglect to grab a very important item that is optional but very useful. I will come to grab it by the time I finish the dungeon, but not now. It's a secret item that you will want if you want 100%. And yesterday Doodle, we need to grab his crew inside the brig, and you may, if you were attentive, have seen their dead, dried-out corpses the last time we were in there. Not a pretty sight. But yeah, we need to get in there and unlock it, basically. In the past, it is locked, and we need to figure out the way to open it. Anyway, I'm not sure if I'm just looking around, or if... No, I'm confused. I think I realize I'm missing something, but I don't remember how to get to it. Trust me, I will get it. I will get it. People in the comments, I will get it. Within the next 2 videos. Probably the next video. Anywho, time to head back inside and see how things have changed now that we're in the past. The other way, there we go. So yeah, as you can see, the palette has changed a great deal. It's still kind of drab. It's not the total brown that we had before, but the floors are yellow and the walls could be more vibrant. I'm going to stand by my guns there, and I'm also going to butcher that turn of phrase. Anyways, you can see that sand is now not sand, it's just normal floor. Weird. And now that we're in the past, we have this little room open to us, and Fee is going to tell us the solution to one of the coolest things in this dungeon. I'm not sure if I'm going to pay attention to her, I don't remember. Am I going to pay attention to her? I'm going to say nope. Okay, so there's a skylight here. You can shoot the time shift zone through the skylight. All one map. And wabam! Back in the present. Very cool thing. It can be kind of tricky to figure out the shot. I often go through a lot of trial and error and fudging, trying to get that good shot. But overall, it's a pretty neat idea, and a lot of people I know have expressed frustration in the fact that Fee explains it to you. Anyway, we're trapped in here until we go back to the present, so let's shoot that thing. There are actually 2 ways to arm the bow. I don't remember exactly both of them offhand, since it's been a while since I actually played. But there's a quick way that I think is, like, hold down C and then shift the nunchuck as if to draw the bow really quickly. Or else you can, like, hold the button and it will charge up manually, slowly, like you do the slingshot, or the scatter shot, rather. Anyway, his abouts. More bokoblins. If you were attentive during the present, you could see like the skulls and the skeletons of the bokoblins, so you know where they're gonna pop up. But overall, they're overall, they're not like gonna really wreck your shit. They're never mobbing you in great numbers with electricity swords. So anyway, almost to the brig. There we go. So yeah, apparently Skipper's ship was had a hostile takeover by the pirates, and his crew was taken captive, and he was thrown from the boat and was stuck with that dinghy. Truly a tragic tale. Should go on Oprah. Yeah, again, these electricity swords are kind of wrecking me. I don't think I will ever get used to them. Anyway, as you can see, there is an electricity barrier locking them in the brig. In the present, it's not there, but they're also dead, so that won't really work. Engine room, that'll work. See you right there. And there is our objective for the next section of this dungeon. We need to get to them via the engine room, but in order to get through the engine room, we need to activate the power generators. And main puzzles from here on out are figuring out how to activate those puzzles. Figure out those power generators. The puzzles are figuring out how to activate the power generators. That's what I'm saying. Okay, yes, good. Got it under control. But those are puzzles for another day. As you can see, this is almost the end of the episode. So, get psyched, get ready for the second half of the Sandship, and I will take care of the rest of it next time, and I will see you guys next time.